You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining me on another edition of Inside Automotive right here at cbtnews.com. M&A activity has been high over the past few years now. On today's show, we are learning what's happening on the market today. There's a lot of different things that are taking place and whether or not it's impacting a dealer's perception of the market. So joining us now is Wille Beck, co-managing partner of Bel Air Partners. It's a company that you've seen here before on CBT News. They enjoy an incredible name out there in the area of M&A for dealerships. So thank you so much, Willie, for joining us once again on the show.
Thank you, Jim. Glad to be here.
Sure. Talk to us about the current state of the buy-sell market as we sit here today. There's a lot happening out there. We just finished a very competitive election, and maybe we'll talk about the impact that may or may not have in the market. But what's happening out there?
The market is very, very strong and continues to be so. From all reports, this will be, if not a record, very close to a record high in the number of transactions and the number of franchises actually sold. I've spoken to you in the past about, the fact that demand in certain brands and certain markets is very, very strong. Dealers remain very bullish, and I think now that the election has passed, there's a lot of optimism as to what will happen for the balance of the year and certainly into 2025.
Yeah, no question about it. Is it safe to say that a Trump presidency could actually maybe mean more value to today's dealerships because of how positive he is towards business and such? I mean, we saw the stock market jump up 1,500 points within 24 hours of the election. Does it play any kind of a role in the value of dealerships?
I think it does. Certainly, the Fed looks like it'll continue its progression of rate decreases, perhaps another 100 or 150 basis points over the next 12 to 18 months. So that'd be very bullish.
Nice. Yeah,
very bullish for dealers' acquisition financing and their profitability, as vehicle sales should increase as customer payments come down.
Sure. And
customers then can, unleash that pent-up demand to replace those aging vehicles.
Sure. So what's the consensus out there among dealers? Are they feeling pretty good about 2025 and beyond?
So it depends which seat they're sitting in. If they're sellers, I think they are. I think come the fall, if they're in a position where their business is not quite performing today where it should be, over the next 6 months or so, they have the ability to position themselves to make themselves more attractive. Again, from the buyer's perspective, many dealers have plenty of capital to spend, and with interest rates coming down, that'll make acquisition financing that much more attractive.
Okay, that's great. Hey, Bel Air has had an active season of sales. Talk to us about the Mitsubishi of Fort Myers. I know that's a deal that you guys just did.
That was a terrific transaction on two levels. First, the buyer, we were first introduced to them just prior to COVID, and we were actually selling them a dealership in Florida. COVID hit, the border was closed, and they couldn't even get down here to pursue their due diligence. So that deal was lost, but we remained in touch. And they came to me about a year or so ago with a target list. And it just so happened that Oleg, with his Mitsubishi deal, was looking to redeploy that capital into higher potentially earning dealerships. So it was a transaction that worked well for both the seller and the buyer, as the buyer got their toehold into the U.S. And having done cross-border transactions in my career previously, it was great to work with a Canadian dealer and help them sort through some of those issues.
Right. Wow, that's fantastic. Worked out. It was a win-win-win on that. That's
Correct.
Fantastic. Talk to us about the Ford Chevy search in Texas.
So that's interesting too, and that's a lot of what we're doing on the strategic advisory side of the business. We were approached by an entrepreneur who has some technology that he'd like to implement into a new car franchise, specifically in Texas where he's based, and specifically for Ford or Chevy, which, as you know, are huge truck markets for those brands. So we're at the early stages of that. We're working through one potential transaction right now, but it's very rewarding to help people achieve their goals, and we look forward to successfully completing a transaction with this person.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Wow. And so, what is your outlook for the remainder of of the year, I should say, and also going into 2025? Things still will be strong?
Things are still very busy for us. We've had a good year, a very good year so far. We have one transaction that looks like the closing might be as late as December 15th, 16th, which is really pushing it.
Okay.
We're in the midst of due diligence on that. We're representing the seller, the buyer's doing their due diligence.
Okay.
But fingers crossed that can close by year end. And then into 2025, we have a significant pipeline, not only of buy-sell transactions, but our valuation work, our debt equity and real estate capital financing advisory. So we're juggling a number of projects, but it's again, it's very rewarding.
That's great. That's fantastic. Hey, one of your very good clients over the years is Bernie Marino, and obviously just won the Senate seat out of Ohio. Well, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, really. Congratulations to Bernie. I've done business with him personally for over 15 years.
Wow.
When he first decided to run 3 years ago, we supported him then. We jumped on board immediately after he announced almost a year and a half ago. And personally, I was on his advisory committee. So I spent a lot of time with Bernie and his team over the past year and a half, and it was very rewarding to see him achieve that win. He certainly has a number of policy positions that'll be very pro-dealer, and he'll be a force in the Senate.
That's yeah, he really will be, and it's great for the retail automotive industry to have one of our own, in the Senate. We've got a few, I think, in Congress as well, but we need all the help we can get, right? But it's great having somebody that understands the automotive industry like Bernie does, right there fighting the good fight for us every day.
Yeah, EVs, financing, FTC issues, all those things that negatively impact dealers on a daily basis.
That's
and
right.
Bernie can be the advocate on trying to sort through some of that mess.
That's right. I would imagine it's the first call that Mike Stanton made from NADA was to say, okay, we got you in there. You're on our side here. But I don't know that to be the case, folks. So I'm just speculating.
I don't either.
That's right. Hey, talk to us about, there's a couple of, brands that have made headlines out there. Many of the dealers watching right now, they own these franchises. And of course, I'm talking about Nissan and Stellantis.
Sure.
What say you about those two franchises? Are there homes for those stores and those brands? Are people buying them? Are they selling them? What's the deal?
There's certainly a home for them depending upon the price. And, many dealers have had great success with those brands. Certainly the two companies are working through their issues. Everything we read in the Wall Street Journal and Automotive News points to restructurings and massive changes that they're attempting to make.
Yeah.
But certainly from the dealer perspective, they want to buy low. And if they see a pathway over 6 or 9 months where these manufacturers can reposition themselves, they'd like to buy those stores now. Any transaction will take 6 to 9 months from today to close. So,
Right.
With pricing certainly depressed on some of those brands in some markets, that might be a great opportunity for dealers.
Yeah.
It's certainly not the right opportunity for every dealer, but only if they can implement the right policies and procedures and people to run those stores.
Yeah. There's some Nissan friends of mine that have got Nissan stores, and they might only be like 1 or 2 or 3 in the group. They're smaller, I don't want to say mom and pop, but they're smaller groups. And there might be a Nissan store or a Stellantis store that they've got that's really weighing down that financial statement in a very big way. So as a friend of mine said, he goes, I will sell this store in a minute, make it very favorable so that it doesn't drag down my other 2 brands. Are you seeing some of that take place?
Yeah, and just like with the Mitsubishi dealership, dealers are always looking at their portfolio
Yeah.
and how can they redeploy their people and
Right.
their capital into better opportunities. And if in your instance, that dealer has other well-run stores, Nissan might just be taking too much of his management time
Right.
to make it worthwhile. So it might be better served going to someone who could put more focus on it.
Yeah, management and dollars, he told me.
And capital.
And
Yes.
capital, that's right. But, Wille Beck, co-managing partner at Bel Air Partners, thank you so much for stopping by. Very much appreciated. I know the dealers always love when you're on to share your insights about the M&A market, and which you've given us today. So thank you so much for that.
Good to be with you, Jim.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.